I'd like to call the May 22nd, 2023 council meeting to order. We'd like to begin with inviting Pastor Troy Garner from Fellowship Church of Faith to the podium for the invocation.
Psalms 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Let us pray. God, in you we have hope. In you we have help. In you we have a hedge of protection. In you we have our happiness. As Acts 17:28 says, it is in you that we move, live, and have our being. Tonight we pause to tell you thank you for our blessings. We don't take your loving grace for granted. We thank you for this place called Madison, where our roots are planted. We ask that you give the gift of wisdom to Mayor Finley and the councilpersons. Bless each district, the homes, and the families therein. Also on tonight, may you be pleased with the discussions and deliberations. In your strong and sovereign name we pray that everyone say amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Mayor Finley?
Here.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Here.
Councilmember Spears?
Here.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Council President Bartlett?
Here.
Councilmember Denzine?
Here.
Councilmember Seifert?
Here.
Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
We do. We have a couple of attachments that had to be updated. The first one being under consent agenda, item D, resolution number 2023-165. We had an attachment that was a proof of loss, and apparently there was a typo in that. We've given the council and the mayor a copy of the proof of loss, which corrects that typo. It was actually a $1,000 deductible, and I believe that what was published on Thursday said $100 was the deductible. But this does not change the amount that we are being paid for that insurance claim. And second, we have an attachment that we updated that would be on under information technology. This would be resolution number 2023-186. What we had was a attachment that had a wrong billing address. We've corrected that.
As from May 8th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye. And motion passes. Next, minutes number 2023-09-RG from May 8th, 2023.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
And that motion passes. Next, we have minutes number 2023-01-SP dated May 16th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? And we're ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Presentation and awards. We first have a proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week. Mayor, you've got that?
And I'd like our Director of Public Works, Kent Smith, to come up with me, if you would, please. we get to do a lot of proclamations out of the mayor's office, but I can tell you there's none of them, in my case, that have ever hit home more so than this one. And it's National Public Works Week. And I'll just read the first paragraph. There's 4 or 5 whereases here. The first one is public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vitally important to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Madison, Alabama. I can tell you guys right now, and I could go through the rest of them, but this is a department of verbs. They simply work to take care of the things that are the underbelly of the city and continue to give us what we need. When it comes to cleaning out ditches, cutting down trees, and every storm that comes through, these guys are prepared for it on the front end and take care of it on the back end. Kent's crew also is one who works diligently to help save the city a lot of money by taking care of a lot of the projects that we can do in-house. So I'll go down to the very last. Resolved, we, the City Council and Mayor of the City of Madison, Alabama, do hereby designate May 22nd to the 26th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. And I, therefore, Paul Finley, Mayor of the City of Madison, do hereby proclaim that very same thing. In the City of Madison, Alabama, I commend you, Kent, and we thank you for you and your team and everything that you guys do for our city.
Next is a highlight for us each year. It is the presentation of the Employee of the Year Awards, and I would like to ask Ms. Debbie Overcash from Madison Rotary to come forward.
Thank you, Renee. Can I turn this, am I going to turn anything up? Look how careful I was. Perfect, thank y'all. I'm sorry, I'm turning my back.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Debbie Overcash, a member of the Rotary Club of Madison and chair of the Madison Employee of the Year recognition. This is the 23rd year that the Rotary Club of Madison, in cooperation with the City of Madison, has had the privilege of recognizing outstanding Madison public servants. These fine employees have been selected by their supervisors for this well-deserved recognition. Our appreciation includes a plaque for each individual, inclusion on the perpetual plaque here at City Hall, 4 tickets to the Rotary Club of Madison's Parrots of the Caribbean, and a monetary gift from the Rotary Club of Madison, not to mention our entire city's gratitude for a job very well done. We are happy tonight to recognize outstanding employees who represent law enforcement, fire protection, and community services. So we've got Mayor Finley and Council President Bartlett. Could we be joined by Madison Rotary President Melissa Gibson and our HR Director, Megan. We will now recognize our outstanding 2023 Madison City employees. Congratulations to Madison Firefighter of the Year, Cole Edwards. Cole, will you and Chief Spears please join us at the front? Cole has worked for the City of Madison since August 2022 and currently serves as a firefighter at Station 2 on B shift. Before he started working for Madison, he was a career firefighter in Tennessee and an advanced EMT. His captain states that Cole has contributed greatly to his team's success in providing care for Madison citizens. Cole has shown great fireground and EMS delivery abilities. He consistently demonstrates a positive attitude. He also strives to better himself and his company through dedication to training and physical fitness. Like many firefighters, Cole has a part-time job. On some off-duty days, he works for Rocket City Bin Cleaning. The owner of this company, Mr. Lance Nation, detailed 2 incidents where Cole, while off-duty, took quick actions to save citizens. On one occasion, Cole and Mr. Nation were on Route 2 when they witnessed a motorcycle crash. The rider became airborne and his helmet flying off as he landed in a travel lane. Cole quickly reached the unconscious rider and assessed his condition. He found him with a compromised airway and was able to safely reposition him to clear his airway, allowing the patient to breathe effectively. Cole manually maintained a clear airway and assisted other EMS providers with patient packaging until they arrived. The patient was regaining consciousness as they left the scene. On the second occasion, Cole was alone on a route and realized that he smelled smoke. He began to look for the source. He found significant smoke in a neighborhood and located a house with flames through the roof over the attached garage. He also noticed a car in the driveway and quickly stopped to ensure all occupants were safe. Not able to find a resident outside, he entered the residence and noticed smoke beginning to show in the living area. He quickly located the female resident. She had no knowledge of the fire. Cole helped her to quickly rescue her dog and moved her to safety across the street from the house. He briefed the responding Huntsville firefighters and made sure the resident was safe and uninjured before continuing on his route. Madison Fire Chief David Bailey attests, Cole embodies the characteristic of courage and compassion that are so needed in our profession. He is also a good team player. He trains hard with his shift, is an aggressive firefighter, and he is ready at a second's notice to move to help anyone in need. Chief Bailey says, one of the characteristics I admire most about Cole is being humble. I had to go ask Cole about the 2 incidents detailed here. I had not heard about either incident until weeks later when Mr. Nation dropped by the office to praise Cole and to tell me how fortunate Madison is to have him as a part of our team. Outside of work, Cole enjoys spending time with his wife, Erin, who also has a heart for service and works as a health care provider. Cole even works on his off time to serve his community as a volunteer firefighter. Let's congratulate our Firefighter of the Year, Cole Eckert. Congratulations. And I would also like to say I was a little frantic because Cole wasn't here as this started. He was coming off of a call and had to run in and change his clothes when he got here. So that's dedication. Thank you, Cole. Next is our Police Officer of the Year, Sergeant Michael Dixon. Sergeant Dixon and Chief Andy, will you join us at the front, please? Can everybody in the room hear the dada over to the side? Oh, can y'all get pictures? Good. Our 2023 Police Officer of the Year, Sergeant Dixon, has been a certified police officer since 2001, and he has been working for Madison since 2018. He has spent most of his time assigned to the Special Operations Division in the Traffic Unit and has additional training as a traffic homicide investigator, advanced crash investigator, and accident reconstruction specialist. When he took over command of the safety unit earlier this year, he immediately began setting expectations for his unit members and scheduled each of them for advanced training in traffic safety and crash reconstruction investigations. His diligence in preparing his staff for their new responsibilities has led to the successful investigation and closure of a number of reckless driving cases. In the past year, he has been an integral part of closing major investigations. For example, Sergeant Dixon's diligence and attention to detail led directly to the arrest of a double homicide suspect in August. After responding to the area of a reported shooting on Angela Drive, Sergeant Dixon ensured that all assistance was on scene. He learned that 2 victims had been shot and killed. Sergeant Dixon then began a comprehensive search for 2 suspects that had fled the scene. During his search, he noticed a suspicious vehicle that may have been involved in the shooting. As he approached the vehicle, he noticed a person emerging from the wooded area nearby and took him into investigative detention. It was later determined that this subject was the actual shooter of the two victims. Some discarded clothing was found in the woods where the subject had been. In addition, last October, he was instrumental in the capture of a murder suspect outside of Chicago. After a Limestone County investigator working with the FBI asked for drone assistance, Sergeant Dixon immediately went to the scene. Within 11 minutes, Sergeant Dixon was able to locate the suspect. Guiding officers and agents to the scene was difficult, but because he was unable to talk to them directly and had to go through dispatch, who relayed the information to officers and agents on the ground. However, they were soon able to surround the suspect and take him into custody without incident. Sergeant Dixon's quick arrival and deployment of the drone equipment was instrumental in the capture of a fleeing murder suspect and was in keeping with the highest standard of the Madison Police Department. Police Chief Johnny Gandy says, Sergeant Dixon's superior knowledge, dedication, character, and exemplary performance reflect highly on the Madison Police Department and the City of Madison. He is an excellent example for all officers to follow and an asset to the Madison Police Department and the citizen he serves. Outside of work, Sergeant Dixon is married to his wife Amanda, and they have 3 daughters, Caitlin, Jessica, and Leanna. Let's congratulate Officer Dixon. Congratulations, Officer Dixon. Thank you. Mayor Finley's selection for 2023 Employee of the Year is Michelle Dunson. Michelle, will you please join us in the front? Michelle is the City Deputy Director of Engineering and has worked for Madison since 2019. She manages nearly all city infrastructure projects from the initial proposal stage through construction closeout. She works very closely with other city departments, including Public Works, Recreation, and Planning. There are many reasons Michelle was nominated for this award, but it starts with her professional relationship with the city's consulting engineers, public works crews, outside contractors, and utility partners. She is always well prepared for meetings and is able to communicate effectively with others through the different phases of construction. She also handles resident concerns with care, compassion, and fantastic follow-up. Michelle shows good judgment when resolving issues in the field and reviewing design plans. At predetermined checkpoints throughout the design process, she provides thorough plan review, identifying utility and drainage conflicts, right-of-way and easement acquisition requirements, constructability concerns, plus any design course corrections to keep the project on track. Providing these reviews and notes in the early phases of design greatly reduces the need for costly and time-consuming redesign and field revisions during construction. Michelle has extensive knowledge of engineering concepts, but she still always is learning. She keeps up to date with new products and techniques through periodicals and seminars and is comfortable in the field learning from contractors and skilled workers. City Engineer Michael Johnson shared that Michelle is an indispensable part of the engineering department, and we are fortunate to have her on our staff. When met with challenges, she has the courage to ask questions and the resourcefulness to research new solutions. Mayor Finley added that during our city engineer transition, Michelle was the rock that kept projects and communication going. Her long hours wearing 2 hats were greatly appreciated and critical to our community's success. Outside of work, Michelle enjoys spending time with her husband, Nick Sanders, their dog Shelby, a golden retriever, and German Shepherd mix. She also is very close to her sister and her 3 nieces, as well as her nephews. She loves fishing and running. Thank you for your service, Michelle. Thank you all. The residents of Madison, along with the mayor, our city council, the Rotary Club of Madison, thank these fine individuals for their service to our community and congratulate each of you on a job very well done. Please join me again in congratulating and thanking our 2023 honorees.
We're going to let everyone exit for the reception that the Rotary Club has set up for those who were recognized for Employee of the Year awards. I'm going to step out for just a moment with the mayor, and I'll be back, but our Pro Tem John Seifert is going to continue running the meeting.
All right, so with that being said, we open this up to public comments, those pertaining to the agenda. We've had 2 folks sign up, and you'll get 3 minutes apiece for things pertaining to the agenda. Those not pertaining to the agenda, we ask that you hold those comments for later on in the meeting. So with that being said, Ms. Jennifer Coe, you are the first up.
Jennifer Coe, Ashley Estates, District 5. Council President, I would like to discuss the order of public comments, ordinance number 2023-188. I would like to submit to you that I strenuously object to changing the order of public comments. At first, I did not object, but since the first opportunity for comments allowed citizens to discuss items on the agenda, thought that was okay. But after having time to digest Ms. Denzine's comments on the topic, I've changed my mind. Department heads oftentimes have to waste minutes of their life they will never get back listening to our grievances. However, I suggest Department of Planning and Economic Services stay for my comments that will be at the end of the agenda. This is vital that city department heads listen to comments sometimes. This was planning and zoning's mistake, so they need to hear about it. They violated their own code. Unless the council is willing to restore our original 5 minutes at the beginning that was reduced to 3 minutes, I would submit that we not change the order of public comments at this time. In keeping with public trust, the council should include citizens in meetings and entertain their thoughts on their government and take their thoughts into consideration. It's the right thing to do. Perhaps if council and department heads had listened more, we wouldn't have the zoning debacle I will be discussing at the additional public comments. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, we have Ms. Bernadette Mayer.
Bernadette Mayer. I live in Heatherwood, District 5, Renee Bartlett. First, I'm appalled that 2 people have exited the room when these comments are for all of y'all. So there's 4 of you to listen. Maybe they'll look at the tapes later on or not. But here I'm talking 20 seconds, losing 20 seconds of my time. Number 1, under Mayor Finley's stuff for tonight, a resolution 2023-125R, the Hexagon Wellness Center, $24,000 annual for city employee use of Hexagon Wellness. And I'm going to just cut to the chase. I think that this benefit rings like the Dave Ramsey course benefit. If I was a city employee, it would anger me that, oh, they're going to give money to this one center, whereas I might be using a wellness center somewhere else. You got to listen to what an employee wants on benefits and pay structure, not to examine how to better reward employees instead of an additional way to have city money going into town Madison and adjacent area. Okay, so I've wasted a minute of my time. Okay. So they have a competent HR professional, do better for Madison employees, and I'm just very upset about that. Okay, number 2, city manager, Madison under engineering, I've noted on the card that there's a couple misspellings on one of the first proposed ordinance A, but I'm not going to waste my time talking about that. Number D, The resolution 2023-185R, I consider that incomplete. It needs to be redone so we know who is signing those documents. That you don't have printed names or anything under those people signing the documents. We need to be able to identify those signatories. And there was a place where it was supposed to be signed by the planning director. That was crossed off. An engineer, director of engineer was written in. That's not professional. It's not clean. You know, it was on a loan on a credit, over $300,000. We need to have that done correctly and represented at the next city council meeting. Okay, so now I'm down to 46 seconds, and the knowledge EWOW under legal, I say no on the 10-year agreement, consider a 5 years adequate. And number 4, a clarification on public hearings. This whole flip-flopping of time, okay, so evidently some things have to go to public hearing, and we'll have 5 minutes to comment on it, but I do think that there's some more things that should be put under public hearing comments that's not required by law, just because there are some very important things that you all consider and pass, and we oftentimes don't have a chance to even comment on any of that. So, that, for instance, now redistricting plan to go to public hearing. I guess that will legally go to public hearing. Thank you, and I'll be talking to you later.
Are there any other members of the public who would like to address the council on an agenda-related item? Please come forward.
Agenda-related?
Agenda-related.
Margie Daly, Karen's district. Okay, I also want to speak on 125 resolution with Hexagon. Somewhere around December or November, we gave them $4 to $6 million. It was discussed that the gym was mentioned, that it would be included in use. I also agree that the employees should have the choice. We shouldn't pay $24,000 to this gym if the employees aren't going to use it, and this asks for it up front. Okay, 2023-158 resolution, slaughter and slaughter, the redistricting. We'd like to know the expected public input meeting dates. It says on the agenda 2 to 3 months. That's quite long. We're paying $15,000 when $5,500 was mentioned when we spoke of this before. Then 2023-178, the Comcast agreement. It's for 36 months. It's $2,429 a month. It only requires a 2-year agreement, but the council's given them 3. Why? And did we usurp the bid process? Was any other company asked to do this? Because we're paying monthly instead of an annual payment, did we usurp the bid process? Then 2023-179, the Infinger $13 million roundabout. I'd like to know how the property was acquired. Was it acquired through redevelopment, eminent domain? It does not state it on the agenda. Then 2023-185R. We would appreciate actual printed names of the signatures on all contracts and franchise agreement. It only says member and it's illegible. If we can't read it, it's an incomplete document. It should not be passed by the council. Also, planning never signed off on it, and the engineer just put a line through planning and wrote in pen engineering. I mean, then 2023-173 resolution, Browns Ferry Culvert. There's 3 documents there, and it doesn't mention Browns Ferry and what. Okay, so it's an incomplete resolution. Browns Ferry could be anywhere, from here to Huntsville, from, Hughes Road. Okay, and then I noticed that we're putting a board appointment in till 2029. I think that the council should limit their appointments to the years they have left on the council, which is 2 at this point. Then 2023-187, the lighting in Dublin Park. We have an ordinance that it closes at dusk, number 94-132. You would have to rescind that ordinance to start putting lighting on Field 5. Then on the public comment, when we have this big of agenda, we should get 5 minutes. I mean, after so many items, if we want to speak on them. Thank you.
Time is up. Anyone else like to address the council, please come forward and state your name and district and the agenda item that you are speaking to.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Knox. I live in District 1. I wanted to talk about the order of agenda, ordinance number 188. I think that keeping public comments at the beginning would make you guys more accessible to the general public. I have a couple of experiences I've witnessed in the last couple of months. Think back to the elderly man who came to discuss safety concerns in his neighborhood. If those public comments were moved to the end, he would have had to sit through the entire meeting just to comment about something safety related in his neighborhood. Another scenario that happened in the last few months was several neighbors came to express another safety concern for their neighborhood, and you guys were able to address it during that meeting because you heard about it at the beginning of the meeting. It did take a couple of weeks because you had to do first reading and all that to get the ordinance passed, but it made it a quicker resolution for those people and their safety concern. So I just wanted to remind you of those scenarios and hope that you keep that in mind when you do vote on that ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knox, is there anyone else who would like to address the council on an agenda-related item? Okay, I thought you might be coming forward. All right, seeing none, we will close public comments on agenda-related items and move to the consent agenda and finance committee report.
Okay, everybody on the Finance Committee was able to review the items on the Finance Committee report and have agreed with them. I want to mention that there were a couple of donations to the senior center. There was a donation by Senator Tom Butler of $5,000 to the fire department, and also there was a donation of 2 televisions to from the Madison Baseball Association to Dublin Park Meeting Room, and Chambers Bottling Company also made donations to the fire department.
Thank you. Have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second.
I was just going to also add to our congratulations to Officer Troy Vickers, who's retiring from the Madison Police Department on the 1st of June, and want to thank him for his years of service to our community.
Okay, thank you, Maura. Any other comments? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And now we're at presentations and reports, beginning with Mayor Finley.
All right, and I'll start by asking for council approval on resolution number 2023-125-R, approving an agreement for city employees to use the Hexagon Wellness Center in the amount of $24,000 annually, and it's paid out of the general services.
Move to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, it's a quick discussion. First and foremost, the great thing about the Hexagon, not only do the employees, well, let's go back. We are able to use their gym, and that's not only for employees, but it's also for our recreational programs, part of which is desperately needed with the folks that can, the amount of folks that are using both James Clemens, Bob Jones, and the middle schools. It's hard to get gym space right now, and so that was one of the key things. I think the second thing is, from an employee standpoint, the gym that police and fire had used is no longer functional. As a matter of fact, it's rat infested, and we're not going back in there. And so they are able to use this. Once they were able to use this, one of the best things we can do from an employee retention standpoint is add this as a benefit for our employees. It is hard to get employees right now. Right now, just so you guys know, the city of Madison's employment rate is 1.2%. That's the lowest in the state. 1.6% in this whole entire area, 1.2%. So it is hard to get employees right now. So if this helps in any way retain and get employees, then we want to be able to use that. So employees would be able to use it. I think in this we'll work on families, and we'll have more details. It would start June 1st.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, with the properties that we're unable to use, what are our plans for those in the future? Or have we gotten that far yet?
Yeah, when you say
rat infested.
That we have not gotten. So that's the down here on Sullivan Street. We have not got there yet, but that is most likely something that we haven't got there yet. I don't think we need it. There's nothing there that we would utilize and it would need to be torn down, and then the city would most likely sell that.
Sure.
Or we'll at least bring that to you guys. You vote on it, we would bring it to you.
Any other questions?
I would just like to state that I do appreciate that this is open to our fire department and to the police department. To have to use those old areas was really sad. I was over there, and it was not very pleasant at all. So I'm thrilled that this does open up that opportunity for them.
Okay, thank you. And we're ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye. Mayor, do you have anything else?
Yeah, a couple more things. Just first, quick congratulations to our seniors, both at James Clemens and Bob Jones. Both graduated last Monday. Congratulations to Huntsville for being named the #2 city in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. They dropped all the way from #1 to #2 in the nation for that's 2 straight years. And as a city encompassed by Huntsville, that has to be the metropolitan area. And so I'm proud for our city in that. Congratulations to Christy Finley on her retirement as Huntsville City Schools Superintendent. Many of you don't know, Christy is a graduate of Bob Jones High School. She's a Madison girl who in turn was here and then went over to Huntsville and helped them. She's retiring. Congratulations to her. Lastly, we had a work session last week on our budget. The Finance Committee has now given that to the full council for the mid-year budget, and that will be hopefully brought to council and approved on June 12th. With that said, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Is that coming in an email to us, the budget?
It should have already come your way if it hasn't.
I haven't gotten it. Have y'all gotten it?
We had to cancel the Finance Committee meeting today because 2 people are out of town.
Okay.
So that may be why you have not received it.
Okay.
We will get it.
Okay.
You will get it. We're working on a date to reschedule.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. District number 1.
Yes, ma'am. My comments tonight have to do with the upcoming public comments that most of you are here for. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. When I first heard that we were going to have an armory in that location, so close to 3 schools, Midtown Elementary, Primrose, and right across the street under construction is the Big Blue Marble Academy Preschool. I expressed my concern to our Director of Development Services, and she said that unfortunately it met all of the zoning requirements, and because of the size of the business, it did not go to the Planning Commission, and it did not come through us as well. I will say personally, I did not grow up with guns. My father didn't have a gun. My husband doesn't have a gun. For home security, we have a dog and 3 angry cats, and they protect our home. But that said, I fully support the Second Amendment. I just think that this is in a poor location. I wish it was located in an industrial area, maybe on Production Avenue where Rocket Republic was. And I do have one suggestion that may work. They have not received their business license yet, and we as a council could stipulate that they would limit their operating hours from not being open during school hours. They could open during the week at 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. They could be open all day Saturday and Sunday. They could be open through Christmas holidays, spring break. They could, have some sort of special that they could recognize their customers during that time. I think that would be a good compromise. And then when school is not in session, like during the summer, they could be open regular hours. And I think this is something that we as a council could maybe consider at our next work session. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Maura. District number 2.
I also wanted to comment on the Madison City Schools graduation. Graduation day from our city is always a phenomenal day. There were, I would say, over $100,000 worth of scholarships that were offered or accepted by our students total. And not 100,000, millions. Anyway, it was such an exciting day to be there, to hear our kids speak, and to hear of their accomplishments. It always just fills you with pride to know that we, as a city, have such a wonderful school system. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Connie. We're going to skip 3 and 4 and move to 6.
Okay, thank you. First, I would also like to thank all those that participated in our election. It was amazing to me how the citizens came together on either side and learned what was going on, educated themselves, and then went out and talked to others and tried to say, this is my way, this is why I think it's good, and they came back the other way. And I love that there was dialogue and that people engaged and got better educated on what was going on. And I also appreciate all those that did come out and vote. It was a very obvious 75-25 split. The people didn't want it. And that is great because the people got to decide. It wasn't us sitting up here deciding whether we changed our way of business, our way of government. It was the people, and that's so important. And I am just thrilled that that happened in our city. Also, I did also go to the high school graduations, both of them. It is amazing what these children accomplish. Back when I was in school, 3 or 4 people got a 4.0. Now there were 24 at Bob Jones that had 5, you know, and over 132 had above a 4.0. It is amazing what these schools are doing, and I'm just so proud of all of our graduates. The next thing is I went to the Wellstone Celebration, Beacon of Hope, the other night. I don't know how many of y'all know, but we do support Wellstone. They are mental health. They have a wonderful crisis center that all of our citizens are able to go to and get the help they need without cost to themselves. It is open to all people. But the most striking thing about the other night was the figure of how many people call the 988 number. Now, all people can call that. It's to help strictly for mental health, if you have a mental health issue. From October to April, they had just under 25,000 calls. And that is amazing. That is just from this area. There is a need out there. If you have a need, please reach out. Call 988. Reach out to somebody else. But it is such a, what is the word? As the community that we are such a family. And I just hope everyone does support each other and help others get the help that they need. And so I totally support what Wellstone does. Next thing is I get a little emotional on that one. There is a Police Citizen Advisory Committee meeting tomorrow night. It is at the library. I believe it starts at 6. Yeah, am I right on that, Chief? Is it 6 tomorrow, 6:30 tomorrow? Is it next week? I thought it was.
Okay. It is tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure it's at 6. Okay,
6. Okay. Excuse me, I didn't even find out what the topic was. Do you know, Chief? Okay, thank you.
Can you repeat that, please, so that the people at home can hear?
Okay. Tomorrow is the Police Citizen Advisory Committee meeting. It will be at the public library at 6:30, and it will have to do with animals. Is that what you said, Chief? Okay. Okay, so animal control things.
Animal control and the alert process.
Okay, thank you. All right. This is the harder part. I've always considered this a family community, and I've always shared what's going on in my life because it does affect y'all if I'm not able to do all I can, like I didn't catch the meeting. But my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in October of 21. And I've shared as we've gone through the different things. He's been in remission, he's been out of remission, he's been up and down. This last Friday, he was in the driveway and he lost his balance and he did a face plant. And I couldn't get him up. And we had to call MZ and they came and they took him down to Huntsville Hospital. When they did the CAT scan, they found something. They admitted him, they did an MRI, and the next day we were told that he now has He has 3 tumors in his brain now. And so they went in yesterday morning and removed the 2 from the back of his head. So I say this because we are family. And the outpouring of love that I have received from this community is astounding. The number of text messages I got yesterday alone. How many ways can we help you? What do you need? Do you need food? Do you need a ride? What is it that you need? And it comes from the community. And this community is so strong in this way. And so when I look at that and I look at the fact that an armory has been approved, okay, I never thought that an armory would put there. Had I had any thought, maybe we could have done something about, I don't know. I'm still waiting to hear back on what can be done on that. At this point, it's been approved. It's all legally done. But my background is in real estate and in site location, and I just wonder why that spot, with all of the properties in the city, why that spot to put it when it is so close to citizens? And I totally understand. It will be very well handled. I trust the owner to be very committed to the safety standards. It's not that. I totally support the Second Amendment. It just comes down to why that site location in such proximity to the schools. And that's where I stand on it. But it is, I assume, Mayor, we're going to be looking at codes going forward and what can be changed and what can't be changed. But I was quite surprised that that's where the decision was made. Because you think, the major streets where there's a lot more traffic and stuff. And it's a wonder. It's a puzzle to me. But that's just my public opinion on that. But I do appreciate everyone's support in this. I'm sorry to make this personal, but we are family, and I am grateful to the citizens. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. District number 7?
Nothing tonight.
Under my line item, I have the resolution number 2023-171-R, authorizing video recording and archiving of our work session that was on May 17th.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Denzine.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
And the motion passes. And that's all I have. Board and committee appointments. The first item under board and committee appointments is the reappointment of Tommy Overcash to the North Alabama Gas Board with a term expiration of July 1, 2029. Is there a nomination for Mr. Overcash?
I would like to nominate Mr. Overcash.
Are there any other nominations for this position? Seeing none, Mr. Overcash is appointed by acclamation. Next, we have an appointment to place number 5 on the Water and Wastewater Board of the City of Madison with a term expiration of 2024 because of an unexpected vacancy. Mrs. Spears, I think that's yours.
Yes. I would like to nominate Julian Al Sullivan for this.
Are there any other nominations for the Water Board vacancy appointment? Seeing none, Julian Al Sullivan is appointed to place number 5 to complete the term of the previous board member through 2024 by acclamation. We do not have any public hearings this evening, so we will move to department reports and begin with engineering.
All right, good evening. My first item is proposed ordinance number 2023-155. This is authorizing acceptance and improvements of right-of-way from the UAH Foundation to extend Jetplex Lane. This is the first reading.
Make a motion to suspend the rules as requested.
Second. Okay, motion to suspend the rules.
And I was just going to, I apologize if I could be recognized. This was an issue where we were not 100% sure that we would have all the prerequisites that we needed in order to move forward. So I think that Mr. Johnson may need to speak to that as to whether or not we're ready to actually suspend the rules in order to adopt this at this time.
Well, they've met all the requirements for engineering. They've finished all the work and they've stabilized the site, but they haven't gotten final acceptance from Madison Utilities yet. It's going to be read on their next board agenda, I believe, on June the 5th. So that's one outstanding item for this one, is we don't have the final acceptance from them yet. I think we're expecting to get it, but we don't actually have it yet.
Okay, so you just want a first reading, then you don't
Right.
want a suspension of the rules. That was originally what we had on the agenda.
Right.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
all right. So
Sorry about that confusion.
We withdraw that motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw that motion, Lisa, and move to approve.
we're not moving.
First reading. Never mind.
Okay, we're going to just read. All right, next. Go ahead. No vote.
All right, item B is resolution number 2023-173R. This is authorizing professional services agreement with Armstrong and Sasso Appraisal Company for land appraisal on project 20-008. That's the Browns Ferry Road box culvert replacement in an amount not to exceed $5,000 to be paid from the engineering department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, Michael, can you explain exactly where this box culvert is, please?
So this is one that was brought up at a council meeting back in the fall. This is a very narrow bridge crossing there. It's just north and west of Mose Chapel Road. It's decorated wildly with reflectors and little signs, but it's still pretty narrow, and it's a danger to people towing trailers and that kind of a thing. So that's the location, and we just need a little extra right-of-way in order to extend that out. We just want to make sure we get everything that we need so that we can add a sidewalk if that happens later, or if it ever gets widened. And we just want to make sure we're very thorough with what we get this time and not have to keep doing this over and over again.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks.
Item C is resolution number 2023-179R, authorizing the acquisition of property and easements necessary for construction of Madison Branch Boulevard roundabout in the amount of $49,842 to be paid from the engineering budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions or discussion?
Just a question was asked, how do we obtain that? We basically appraisal and then agreement by the owner.
That's right.
There's nothing else other than that, correct?
We had an appraisal company come out and do the appraisal. The offers were sent from the legal department and then negotiated that way.
Was this amount accounted for in the budget for the roundabout?
Yes.
And it's above or below or at?
Well, this is not the full amount yet. This is a little over half, I think, of the total amount that needs to be done, but we're looking to be still within the original budget that was approved for this project for right-of-way acquisition.
And I was just going to say, we have another tract that we're negotiating to purchase as well.
But given the appraisals and where we're at now, based on what we had put for the budget to acquire all this, we're within that number.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Motion passes.
Finally, I have resolution number 2023-185R, accepting into public use and maintenance the subdivision improvements for the Heights at Town Madison Phase 5.
Move to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions?
Everything all square?
Yes, sir. Everything's in order.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fire?
Hello, I got a proposed ordinance 2023-153 amending the city's fire code as adopted in Chapter 8 of the City of Madison, Code of Ordinances. This is updating, the state updated the minimum fire code to the 2021 IFC that went into effect January 1st of this year. So we took this time to get our codes updated and do some cleaning up with some of the legacy stuff we had in the ordinances. Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, motion and a second. And we had first reading on 5-8. Any other questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
IT.
Hello, I have two items. First one is resolution number 2023-178R. This is for authorizing an agreement with Comcast Enterprise for fiber to 8 municipal locations. And this will also save the city $39,000 per year also by doing so.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions for Chris? All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Denzine.
Motion passes. Next.
Next item is resolution number 2023-186R. It's authorizing an agreement with Ninja One for IT support software in the amount of $10,800 annually.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second with a corrected address. Any questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Denzine.
Motion passes. Thank you. Legal.
Good evening. We have four matters here under legal. We have pulled A, so we won't be discussing the proposed ordinance under A. So I'll move to resolution number 2023-163R. This is a resolution for acceptance and dedication of two tracts of property along Kaiser Boulevard from Smart Living LLC. This is basically acceptance of a couple of completed right-of-ways, and we have a couple of attachments that I can show you, Matt. What you're looking at here is an old picture, so what you're seeing is dirt road, but this is the north tract, and basically we would be accepting that southern tract as well. I think there's another picture of that. But these have been completed roads, so this is basically, so you'll understand, it's the easternmost entrance for Bradford Station. So we're just simply, it should have been dedicated previously, but we're just doing a little cleanup work and accepting at this time. And we have discussed this with both engineering and planning. And this is, of course, since it's a road, this is something that the city is interested in having dedicated.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So next we have another cleanup item. This is resolution number 2023-175. This is authorizing the acceptance of an easement for a portion on Y Street. This is a situation where we had actually, back in 2016, authorized payment to the landowner here for a right-of-way, but we never got around to actually executing everything that we needed as far as with probate on it. So what we did was we issued a check, and we actually approved that, but we didn't go so far as to actually do what we needed to as far as accepting and executing it. So what we're doing here is just the cleanup to finally accept that, even though it's been in the works. That project's probably 7 years old now.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? Ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. Councilmember Denzine. Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
And motion passes.
Next, we have a proposed ordinance number 2023-188. This will be the first reading, but this is a proposed ordinance amending City Code Section 2-42-4, and this would change the order of the agenda. That is all that it would change as far as these rules. And basically, the resolution just simply states, just as the agenda is written tonight, it's been temporary for 2 months, that at the very end you would have any items for public comment that are not listed on the agenda. This would make it permanent as opposed to the temporary resolution that we've been operating under.
Okay, thank you. And that's just a first reading, so
that's correct.
Consider it at our next meeting. Planning.
All right, and I'm filling in for Mary Beth on planning. She's on vacation, and so I'll ask for council approval for proposed ordinance number 2023-157. It's a vacation of a portion of the utility and drainage easement located within Bellawood subdivision. We had our first reading on 5/8, and if I'm not mistaken, I know Donnie Spencer's here for this, but this is for their monument sign, and both Mary Beth and engineering are okay with this.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions for the mayor? Seeing none, we're ready for a vote.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Councilmember Denzine?
Aye. And motion passes.
All right, and secondly, I'll ask for council approval on resolution number 2023-158-R, authorizing a professional services agreement with Slaughter and Associates for redistricting of election districts in the amount of $15,000 to be paid out of the departmental budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll give a little bit of information. So based on the vote last week or the week before, we will now redistrict as we always have with 7 districts. The last time that we did this was we took the 2010 census. It was done in 2011. And Slaughter and Associates is who did that for us. So it's the same group. We have a history with them. They were very successful in that. You will, if you approve this tonight, they will immediately get to work preparing the plan pretty much the rest of May into June. Right now, their tentative date for the first public meeting would be July 17th. That will be dependent on their ability to get everything done that they need to. That's getting the public's feedback. They then go back. It's also, and then look to have a hearing on August 14th, prepare the legal descriptions on August 30th, and we would hope to bring this to council for an adoption on September 11th. So again, what we're looking for is 7 equal districts. And the one thing that I really appreciated about them is they also look for growth. In 2010, they recognized, or 11, they recognized Madison was going to grow to the west. They set us up for giving those the District 2 and District 4 a little bit of growth room. I'm sure they'll look to do the same thing, but equal districts is what we're shooting for. We will hire a professional that's done it before to help us accomplish that.
Okay, any other questions for the mayor? We discussed this at the work session, which has now been archived, and so anyone can catch that presentation that Mary Beth did during our work session on redistricting. All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Wroblewski?
Aye.
Councilmember Spears?
Aye.
Councilmember Powell? Councilmember Shaw? Council President Bartlett?
Aye.
Councilmember Denzine? Aye. Councilmember Seifert?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Recreation.
Good evening. I have resolution 2023-187-R, approval of professional services agreement with Hogan Mechanical in the amount of $71,500 for the installation of field lighting on Field 5 at Dublin Park.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
Or can you help address some of the comments from before about ordinances and lighting and all those good things?
Sure. The park ordinance is from dusk to dawn, or from dawn to dusk, sorry. So, like, if you're going to go use the park, those are the hours. Dublin Park's open, so is Palmer past dusk, obviously, for events. So if we have a soccer game, soccer practices, those kind of things, they're manned. And we open the facilities, and then once we turn off the lights, we make sure those people leave and the park's closed.
Okay. And these are the same directional lights that we have at Dublin, and we see with the must-go lighting and those kind of things. I don't say it's must-go, but.
Yep, it is, you know, if you go out to Palmer Park and look at a soccer field from a distance that we've had put these lights in, it hits what it's aiming at. There's no overflow lighting. We put them at the tennis courts on Hughes Road. I haven't got one complaint from any of the neighbors there with those lights on. So they're very respectful of overflow lighting, and they're really energy efficient. Like our light bill has gone down significantly since we installed these LED lights.
Thank you, Corey.
All right, ready for a vote.
Councilmember Seifert.
Aye.
Councilmember Wroblewski.
Aye.
Council President Bartlett.
Aye.
Councilmember Spears.
Aye.
Councilmember Powell. Councilmember Shaw. And Councilmember Denzine.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, motion passes. Now we're going to enter the portion of additional public comments that are not related to an agenda item. We're going to begin, though, with the mayor, who has some information he'd like to share.
Yeah, so I guess going back to giving some folks some information as you guys look to come up. Rocket City Armory is classified as a retail service business, and that is allowed in the city's commercial zones B1, B2, and B3. The site plan was approved in September of 2021. They are not open yet, but that area there is zoned B2. It was zoned B2 in 1989. At that point, Mayor T. Guttleback was the mayor at that point, but it's been zoned that way since 1989. To give some folks a little bit additional context, with Last Resort Guns, which is on County Line Road, we opened James Clemens in 2012. Last Resort was opened in 2013. It's about a mile from James Clemens and will be about the same, maybe just a little bit more from the new elementary school. You also have Walmart, which sells ammunition, which is would be close to the Journey Middle School. And then where Rainbow is, Academy Sports across the street there, obviously not in, has a Madison address, but not in Madison, just to give context on how it's zoned. And with any zoning, if it meets the criteria for that zoning, typically, and not even typically, we're required to accept that. The things that can change that are basically if it's to determine the nuisance. We had Three Springs, which many of you know, in early 2017 had someone, two kids break out of there and unfortunately had someone killed. If the city would have taken their business license at that time, we would have immediately been sued and not had the ability to manage via our police department what we needed to manage. We shored up those nuisance laws, and in September of 2017, we updated those. There's 4 criteria that if for whatever reason Rocket City Armory didn't meet, the city council would have the ability to have a public hearing and take the business license, which is exactly what we did with Three Springs the second time that somebody broke out. I could go through those if we needed to, but it's a violation of the license based on any statute of the state of Alabama for which the business is licensed. It's a renewal of the license or the agent caused by a wrong application, affidavit, statement, certificate, or the third one would be which license such is issued in the manner to be determined a public health, safety, or welfare problem. So those are in place. I know, one of the things, tonight that we won't come to an agreement on is gun control. That's just not going to happen. You can have discussion, you guys have opinion, and the second thing that we won't do is we won't legislate evil, because that's what happens if someone goes into a school and shoots folks, which happened in Madison in 2010. Since that time, so anybody who says we don't care would be completely wrong. That was a horrible day in the life of Madison, one that we never want to see again. And since that time, working with our school board, the city has worked diligently on safety. We've had everything from a call to protect line that people could call, all the way through starting to give more money for SROs and for equipment, working with our school board. The city probably right now pays about $750,000 a year for safety. Each time a school is built, we've also shored those up to make sure that there's multiple areas that in turn stop folks from getting in. When you passed your property tax referendum in 2019, the 12 mills included 1 mill specifically for public safety, which generates about $1 million a year that the schools are spending right now on the safety of those schools. So I wanted to give just information on that before anyone else came up here. But typically, if it meets the criteria, whether it was a armory or a car wash or a Mexican restaurant or a nail salon, if it meets the criteria of the zoning, then we as a city don't have a lot of leeway with what we do with that. So with that said, that's just the context.
I just wanted to ask, can we limit their operating hours?
I don't know the answer to that. We typically, you can't limit legislating that for any business, then, which one do you stop at? So
Firearms.
That would be your decision. That would be your all's decision going forward, but typically no.
But something we could look at.
Typically no. You can't tell a business when it can and can't be open.
Okay.
That's, again, a council, you guys can have that discussion, but, again, you go back to the legal jeopardy of taking someone who has met every criteria that the city has going forward. But that's your all's decision.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think we can ask other follow-up questions ourselves of the Mayor and the Planning Department, but we want to go ahead and respect everyone else's time who came here to speak. So we're going to open up public comments, and those of you who have filled out a public comment card, I'm going to call you first, and then if anyone did not fill out a card, we'll just let you come to the podium. You have 3 minutes to speak. We ask that you state your name and the district that you reside in or your neighborhood if you don't know your district. And if you are representing a group of people, if you're in a particular neighborhood and you want to speak on behalf of a number of people, we'll let you stand if you want to say what he said or what she said. You don't all each individually have to say the same thing. If you have somebody who wants to speak on your behalf, we will take notice of those of you who are here in the audience who are supportive of a particular position. I'm going to begin with the comment cards, and I'm going to call Jared Hill.
Good evening. I ask that you guys let me finish this speech. It's right at 3 minutes. So, councilwomen, councilmen, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jared Hill. Today I come before you not only as the owner of Rocket City Armory, but as a proud member of this community. My family has deep roots in Madison, and we have dedicated ourselves to supporting and serving the people who call this great place home. My motivation for starting this business comes from two primary things: the interest in the skills involved in becoming a professional gunsmith and the ability to work with my hands. Secondly, a long line of military service in our family, starting with the Revolutionary War, which gave birth to this great nation. My great-grandfathers fought on both sides of the Second World War and are an inspiration for the Rocket City Armory's logo. For the United States, Wilson C. Hill served in the U.S. Army Infantry and also had the assignment of being an armor in his headquarters company when not engaged in combat. For the German Third Reich, Fritz K. Pauli was forced to serve as a tanker for the majority of the war before being transferred to Panamanian Research and Development Facility. Fritz then came to the United States in 1952 to join his fellow colleagues, including the father of space, Dr. Werner von Braun, and helped to design much of the technology involved in the space race to the moon. Rocket City Armory is more than just a business. It is a testament to our history, our story, our commitment to firearm safety, and our preservation to the art of gunsmithing. As a family-owned establishment, we understand the concerns that have been raised regarding the proximity of our business to the new elementary school in Madison. We are fully empathetic with the public concerns and fears about gun violence and school shootings in general. Let me assure you, the safety and well-being of our community, especially our children, are of paramount importance to us. We are fully aware of the responsibilities as firearm dealers and educators, and we take them seriously. When Rocket City Armory opens its doors, we pledge to uphold all firearm laws and regulations, leaving no room for compromise. We will implement strict measures, such as requiring that all firearms be unloaded, and in cases before entering and exiting our premises. We have gone above and beyond with the state-of-the-art security systems that safeguard our facility and premises. Our staff will be well-trained and follow protocols that further enhance the security of our customers and neighbors. We will digitally enforce our policy of not allowing unaccompanied minors into our store. Our commitment to the safety of our children and our neighbors is unwavering. We want our business to be a hub for teaching the pivotal roles in which firearms have played in shaping our nation and strive to foster a deeper appreciation for the artistry of the craftsmanship of the trade of gunsmithing. Our firearm inventory will consist of new and used, vintage and modern, collectible and high-end firearms. It will be one of the finest inventories within several hundred miles of Madison, which will draw firearm enthusiasts, collectors, hunters, and marksmanship competitors. This will contribute significantly to many other businesses' revenues and our city's tax base. I want to emphasize that Rocket City Armory is not just a business.
Mr. Hill, you need to be seated. Your time is up. You have 3 minutes, and you just exhausted your 3 minutes. Thank you. And if you are speaking on behalf of anyone else here, if you want to have anyone stand, or if you're not, if you're just speaking on your own behalf, that's okay. Rocket City Armory. Thank you. The next person who has signed up to speak is Alex Vaughn.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Alex Vaughn, and I'm here to request that Rocket City Armory either be moved using zoning laws, denial of business license, or in the alternative, that through agreements, the scope of the business is limited and the format of transactions is limited. I think that the gun store is a bad idea, I'll be honest. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to determine that putting a gun store within spitting distance of elementary school children is a bad idea, although we have plenty of those in our community. I have nothing against this gun owner, but I don't know him. I don't know his clients. I know what he just said, but I don't know how he stores his ammo. I don't know how he stores his guns or how he chooses who he sells to. This is material. 77% of mass shooters bought legally. If you can't see the problem while looking at this place head on from the steps of my children's elementary school, I'm not sure that you will. There's an easy to see bottom line here, but I'm not sure you'd see it unless you had kids in one of these schools. The bottom line is, how close would you want your school-age children to be to an area where guns are handled regularly without you there? Would you want oversight of that area? Because I think that you would. I'm not asking anything outrageous, but I do expect some action. This is a risky situation, and a lot of us have small children nearby every single day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Joseph. Thank you. Next is Joseph Prinzinger. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly.
Good evening, everybody, council. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to say simply that I support the Armory. I do not believe they should be moved. I do not believe their time should be limited or restrained in any way. I believe that they've met all the requirements and should be able to proceed opening their business. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, do you mind reminding them to tell us their district?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Mr. Prinzinger. I didn't get your district that you lived in. Sorry about that.
I'm not sure which district I live in.
Do you live in Madison?
I do. I live in Madison County. And
Madison County?
Yep.
Okay.
And I shop
Thank you.
regularly in this area. So.
Thank you for the reminder, Councilwoman. Next is Rebecca Ferris.
My name is Rebecca Ferris, and I'm from District 6. I have 3 children at Midtown Elementary, and tonight you will hear many different angles of concern for against the current location of the Armory. And many that support the location of the Armory will argue that it makes the community and the schools safer. While their argument is for physical safety, it fails to address the concerns of the children regarding their mental and emotional well-being. In fact, this argument for the presence of more firearms dismisses the reality of how gun violence is directly targeted at young children today. This is not the 1970s or the 80s or the 90s. This is 2023. And while this approach to add more firearms in the vicinity might have been acceptable within reason during those times, it is not today. The current issues we face today cannot be met with outdated counterpoints. We must demand policy and change and resources to meet our children's needs. No matter what side you take on this issue, we can all agree that our children's physical and mental well-being is important in receiving a well-rounded and rich education. Everyone here can agree that small businesses are important. When I first saw that the Armory was opening next to my children's school, I immediately thought that Madison Boulevard would have been a perfect location for this type of business. Right next to 565 gives better access to people from Huntsville and Hartsville and Decatur and Athens, giving more opportunities for this business to thrive. I want to be clear that this is not an attack on the business, but the location. Whoever advised this to be an acceptable location for the gun shop proves to have a lack of forethought, a lack of tact and prudence, and is tone deaf to the environment our children and educators are faced with today. Lastly, I would like to ask some questions for all of us to consider. How do we show love? How do we support and show kindness? I am disappointed that while many are well-intentioned, they come to the table with preconceived ideas and answers. I'm not seeing anyone ask our young people, how can we support you? What do you need from us? We continue to be arrogant.
Thank you, Ms. Ferris. Your time is up. Next is Ashley Singleton.
My name is Ashley Singleton. I'm from District 7, and my 7-year-old son attends Midtown Elementary. I'm here today to announce into public record my concern with the location of Rocket City Armory and express my disbelief that anyone, the owner, the council, or any other citizens could possibly think that 400 feet from an elementary school is a suitable location for this type of business. I'm not an activist. I have never objected to this type of business before. I don't protest or sign petitions for any other type of business of this type. I'm just a parent. I want economic success for Madison, but not at the expense of our children. There are dozens of other more suitable locations, and anyone with common sense would see in today's world. A parent seeing this at the entrance to their children's school daily is concerning. Defenders will tell you that the school will be safer due to this store. By any quantifiable metric, actual facts and statistics, this is incorrect, but it also fails to take into account the daily mental and psychological impact that this is going to have on elementary and preschool children. This issue is not one of gun ownership or Second Amendment rights. The location of the store is in appallingly bad taste, and I believe the owner chose it purposefully to incite strong feelings and controversy using school children as pawns. It is the job of this council to represent us all, including our youngest and most vulnerable citizens. Your hands are not tied in this matter. You have creative zoning methods to remedy this problem and to prevent it in the future. You have the opportunity to directly protect our children. Please do not disappoint your community. I would also like to thank the councilwoman for District 1 and District 6 for your comments tonight. Also for your email comments, not to me directly, but to a friend of mine. You're the only one who expressed actual concern via email that I've seen. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tyler Stutheit. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right or I'm reading it right. Okay.
What was the name?
Tyler Stutheit.
Tyler Stutheit, District 1. I'd like to start off tonight just by thanking everybody
for taking this seriously, for your public support that you are going to take safety as the utmost, as paramount to your business. That means a lot to me as a parent. However, actionable things that the City Council, I believe, has within its control, I think that you should be called upon to increase police presence during school hours. This, again, is 400 feet away from school grounds, as well as to preschool on the same road. So I would really encourage us to try to find some alternate ways that you do have within your control. I understand the zoning, everything has been done right. But I would love to see increased police presence in the community. And if there are violations of people, as soon as they exit the parking lot of this facility, they are in a school zone as defined by the Gun-Free School Zones Act. So if any firearms are not unloaded, not in locked cases, that is a violation. I believe that it's actually a little precarious having business with the exit in a school zone because they may inadvertently have their customers violate the law. And I understand, Mr. Hill, you are going to do your utmost to make sure that your customers are being responsible gun owners, and I very much appreciate that. But if this does become a problem, I would also advise the City Council that Alabama State Code Section 11-51-102 and 103 do give you some authority in this matter. When the public good or safety demands it, and when public safety, peace, good order, and decency may require it, you are permitted to take action against a business of this type. I pray that it does not come to that, but I want you guys to know that you do have options available to you. The law does provide that to you. So thanks, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. Ashley Dennis.
Hi. Ashley Dennis, District 7. As a proud parent of both elementary, middle school, and high school students, particularly at Bob Jones, I would like to express my support for the establishment of Rocket City Armory. I understand that this may raise concerns for some, but I firmly believe that by having an armory in close proximity to these schools, we can enhance the protection and safety of our students in significant ways. First and foremost, let me address the primary concern that arises when discussing firearms gun violence. It is crucial to acknowledge the gravity of this issue, but it is also equally important to rely on the data and evidence to shape our perspective. Studies have consistently shown that gun violence rarely occurs in close proximity to licensed firearms establishments such as gun stores and armories. In fact, the majority of gun-related incidents happen in areas where legal access to firearms is limited or restriction. We see this across our nation. The most heavily restricted areas for firearms are also the most dangerous. Let's consider the facts. The presence of a licensed armory near our school would mean responsible and law-abiding citizens are taking proactive steps to ensure their own safety and the safety of our community. These individuals would have to undergo rigorous background checks and fulfill the legal requirements to own firearms. There are individuals who are committed to upholding the law and protecting the innocent. Moreover, having an armory near our schools offers a unique advantage in terms of response time in case of emergencies. We all know that during critical situations, every second counts, and by having a well-equipped, professionally staffed armory within close proximity, you minimize the potential harm that could be caused by an assailant. We have seen over and over the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. It's important to emphasize safety measures in our discussion, and the establishment of an armory near these schools would be accompanied by a stringent security protocol, including enhancement surveillance systems, regular training drills, and secure storage of firearms. These measures ensure that the armory operates with the highest level of professionalism and adheres to the strictest safety standards. In conclusion, as parents, Our primary concern is the safety and well-being of our children. By supporting the establishment of an armory near our schools, we are taking proactive steps to enhance their protection. The data clearly shows that gun violence is unlikely to occur in proximity to a licensed firearm establishment. Instead of by having a nearby armory, we create an environment where responsible individuals can contribute to our community safety. Let's not be driven solely by fear, but instead be guided by reason, evidence, and the collective commitment to safeguarding our children. Together, we can create a safer environment for our students and one where they can learn, grow, and thrive. And then on another note, I was unaware of, and I'm surprised by the change in public comments. This change communicates to me that you aren't really interested in our concerns like Tiffany communicated. There are varying reasons why many would not be able to say.
Ms. Dennis, you're out of time. Thank you. Chris Gunderson.
Thank you, council members, for this opportunity to speak.
What district?
Oh, yes, my name is Chris Gunderson, District 6.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've lived in Madison for 15 years now. This is my first council meeting. Until today, I trusted members of the city and this community to do what was right for all of us. I never imagined that I would need to attend this meeting to voice my concern about a new business, but I'm not naive enough to believe that the city can really do anything to prevent the opening of a gun store next to my son's school. I understand that the 1990 School Zones Act has been applied to this business and found to be in compliance. Their ATF license has been properly approved. The owners followed the law, but I wonder, did you talk to anyone? Did you talk to your neighbors, your community members, before you decided that opening a gun store next to an elementary school and a preschool was the right place for your business? How tone deaf can you be when guns are the #1 cause of death for children? When mass school shootings are becoming more frequent? When the study published in Scientific American presented data that homicides increase in the area where a new gun store opens? I picked up my son in Carline at Midtown this past Friday, and when we were on our way home, we passed this new business and he shouted, "Gun!" And he cowered in the back seat, imagining that a bad guy was going to be emerging from that business intent on shooting him. That is his reality. I mean, what did you expect to be the response from this community? How insensitive are you? What made opening a gun store next to a school seem like an intelligent idea? I've been a resident and member of this community for 15 years, but I question if this owner cares about anything other than a bottom line. Opening this business in this location specifically is spitting in the face of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Coe. Jennifer Coe.
Jennifer Coe, Ashley Estates, District 5, Council President. So first let me start. Have we changed the zoning code? Has it been recompiled since 2 years ago? Anybody?
1989.
Okay.
You said?
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. So B2, zoning and planning, Business District 2 at 111 Plaza Drive is Zone B2. So I've consulted the zoning code we have here and want to know who or why planning approved the Rocket City Armory in this district. Approximately 700 feet, that's give or take, from Midtown Elementary, which was already there. That's the timeline, because the applicant bought the property at approximately the same time that Midtown opened. So I don't understand how this could have been done in compliance with the federal Gun-Free Zone Act, but I'm good. So why did planning approve another pre-K across the street from the gun store? So you still have to rock, if it's, what is that, a 70-foot, I mean, that's probably a 60-foot right-of-way, across the street, after they already applied for the gun store. So we have 3 schools now, because they have the one preschool called Primrose, and you have the new Blue Marble that's under construction. They're not as complete as the Armory is. So the applicant for the gun store bought the parcel at the same time that the school was opening. So the approval for construction of the gun store was after the elementary school opened. Why? Because the zoning code 46A3 gives the planning director authorization to determine if a use not currently listed is sufficiently similar to a use listed as permitted or conditional for a particular zoning district, such that it may also be included as a permitted or conditional use within a zoning district. If the planning director determines that it's not otherwise listed or defined in the zoning code, the developer owner may request an amendment. So they have to request the amendment. So it should have gone through 4 public hearings, just like the mini storage and the reduction in parking spaces. What happened here? So if your zoning code requires that the applicant should have requested an amendment to the zoning code, why didn't they do it? What happened? There should have been 4 public hearings. Okay. The gun store is in violation of the City of Madison's zoning code. There isn't a single use defined that it's not a compatible use. And within, 1,000 feet of a gun store. Nor are there uses listed, new and unlisted, that are similar by any definition.
Ms. Coe, you're out of time.
Okay, I also want to know what Mr. Over and the other board restrictions, where are they going to submit?
Thank you. Next, we have Bernadette Meyer.
Okay, I'm Bernadette Mayer in District 5, Renee Bartlett's district. I live in Heatherwood subdivision. Okay, so first I want to comment from the first part of the meeting. Okay, the Hexagon Wellness Center, nothing was ever said about gym use for the city and police and fire need to work out there versus other employees. I mean, so information is not really coming to the public. The agenda could have included a little bit more detail because I wouldn't have objected so vigorously, but honestly, during this first year use, you can see about the gym use and you can see about other employees besides police and fire because they certainly have other workout. I know fire department probably has within their own facilities have their own little workout areas while they're waiting, they're at their station or whatever. But I'm really, concerned about the information coming to the public, and to get to where I'm already losing a lot of time. Okay, so some of my public comments were really geared towards other areas, but one of the things was the fact that who some of the appointees are on the planning committee, and certainly Mayor Finley and the planning director or whatever would have seen this thing coming up about this gun armory property. So, and to blame it maybe on the director of development, I don't know. The buck passing doesn't need to be done, but something needs to be done at this point. Besides that, I'm understanding that there's an approved marijuana grower in Madison City, and my understanding is if you have an approved marijuana growing operation, you can do point-of-sale marijuana sales, and I'm not sure if that's within state law. So to me, it seems that even though the city council voted down having marijuana sales within Madison City, obviously if you have an approved grower in Madison City, then they can do point of sale. You're not, so that's something that I don't really know if any of that could have been prevented with Madison City ordinances or whatever prior to that. But anyhow, so I really feel like there needs to be some new appointments that the mayor can make on the planning committee. And to me, there's been a significant failure, and that's why the whole push for this election and the turnout was obviously the people don't want that.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're out of time.
Okay, you've got the rest on your card.
I have your card. Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who would like to address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Margie, Karen's district. First of all, I saw that you somehow communicated for the finance, but we didn't have an open meeting. We have to stop with this no transparency. The meeting was canceled, but yet it's all on the agenda. That's not right. Second of all, let me explain this zoning and the problem with the, you're calling it retail sales. Now, retail sales, on B2, it actually states if it's not listed there, the zoning has to be amended. We did it for car washes. We did it for mini storage, but not a gun store. And you're going to call it retail sales. And look, I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I will probably frequent the store, okay, if it gets there. But we have to do the zoning right. We cannot avoid what the zoning code says. And B2, we did it for car washes. We did it for mini storage. Well, let's do it for the gun store. Okay. Requesting, suggesting some common sense zoning, new ordinances, amendments, or resolution. The first one is if developers must start a project within 6 months or must reapply for their permits and plans. Number 2, plans must be completed by original developer or forfeited and reapply if it's flipped to a new developer. Plans should never have the ability to be sold from one developer to another without the approval being voided from the first developer. Okay, liquor and gun sales within schools 1,000 feet. We need an ordinance for that. We need to delineate school zones and say what's allowed with them. Obviously, it's causing a problem, so we need to take care of that. And it could be easily taken care of if we had an ordinance that delineated schools with 1,000 feet. Now, there is a federal law about 1,000 feet. I don't know how this affects the store with 1,000 feet within the school zone. Now, there's also, I see an issue with giving away the easement on the sidewalks on Portal and Hughes Road. I see a safety problem for the people, pedestrians and cyclists, and I've been riding my bike around town. It's really tough. It's really tough without getting hit by a car. So to take away those the easements to give it to Cowboys gas station, I just think that's ridiculous. I think we have to relook at that. And now the lighting. I hope we're going to fix this lighting. The Cobra heads, they lit the corners, they lit the middle of the street. I don't care about my front yard being lit. I care about the safety. I care about the 2 pedestrian fatalities we've had and 1 car accident on County Line. So I'd like to see that fixed. I'm a little upset. Well, I don't have any more time. I have some more stuff to say, but thank you.
Ms. Daly. Did you want to come forward? I think would you let her go forward, and then I'll get you next.
Hello, my name is Emma. I live at 1009 Willow Lane. And I'm here today because my son is 8. He is in 2nd grade. He, on his progress report, it always says, we are lucky to have LinkedIn in our class. He looks out for others. He helps them get out of trouble. He has an achievement award for honesty. He asked me to come today because he is scared. The #1 cause of death for children since 2020 and continues to rise is firearms. And I'd like to go back to what you said earlier about 988. 25,000 people in this area with mental illness called that number, and we have the armory right beside the school that instills fear in the children that go there. I like what you said, that when they leave the store, they have to empty out the bullets. But what about when they leave the parking lot and they drive down the same road that our kids are on? At Midtown, they go on different codes, code red, code yellow. They're always in codes. You know why? Because they're beside the Kroger. So if somebody steals a candy bar or anything like that, the school goes on lockdown. That's why so many parents are here today, because they're in so much fear of all the lockdowns the children have had to go through. And I don't understand the zoning laws, but I do understand that it hasn't been zoned since 1989. So what can we do as a community to help the zoning laws be rezoned for modernization of our infrastructure and our buildings? And then also, I'm not sure what the lady in the blue was talking about, the for voting, but the public hearings for the business, as well as you said that it would bring in a lot of money, revenue for the city. Would it be possible for you to use your revenue, if you were allowed to open, to pay for a police officer in your parking lot to be able to watch the schools, or maybe in the schools as well, so our children feel more safe if you develop more revenue?
If you could direct your comments to the council.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've never done this before, but maybe that would be, you know, if they had a security guard or, you know, somebody that can ensure the safety of the people leaving as well as the business hours. Those are just my suggestions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And before Ms. Gary has just a word, and I'm sorry, Angela, that respective lot has not been rezoned since 1989. We do rezoning and different zoning all the time, so it's not as if the entire city hasn't been rezoned, just that one respective area was zoned in 1989. I'm sorry, Ms. Gary, go ahead.
My name is Angela Gary. I live in District 5, Ms. Bartlett's district. I have known Jared Hill since he was 3 years old. I lived across the street from him. Jared Hill has overcome more obstacles in his life than all of you council members put together. I am not going to be a popular citizen tonight with people in here. Jared, you open your ammo store. Steve, Andrea, I support him. I will volunteer to work there. My son was at Discovery Middle School when Todd Brown had his brainstem blown out by a child that was not zoned to go to that school. It is not Jared Hill's place to provide SROs. It is Madison City Schools. We have wonderful schools. We can hire SROs. Let the schools do it. That's not Jared's problem. Does Jared need to move his building, his business down on Madison Boulevard? There's all kinds of drugs within the city of Madison. There's all kinds of mental illness. Mara, you want to change the hours. Let's change the hours of the preschool. And there's working from home now. Why can't you change their hours and work? Jared gets a right to make a living too. Jared has worked so hard. He's graduated from Auburn. He has succeeded in everything in life. And I'm not going to spill his personal history here. If he wanted you to know it, he'd tell it. But I'm going to tell you, his father and his mother, if there was any reason for this not to be a go, Steve Hill would have said, no, I don't think so, son. I don't think that's what you need to go into. And I think many of you in this room have had opportunity to know Steve and Andrea Hill because they have been very public figures in the city of Madison. And I've lived in the city of Madison. I'm not going to tell you how many years, but, you know, Jesus was a baby at one time, and I came shortly thereafter. And, no, I don't dye my hair, so I guess you can kind of figure it out. I do. I've got 12 minutes. Please, for the love of God, be fair to him. There are so many people that had guns, and they didn't get it from Madison Ammo. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. Please state your name and your district.
Yes, yes, ma'am. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Retired John Cole, District 4, Mr. Shaw's district. Amendment 2, the United States Constitution, of well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. This is the United States of America. This is not North Korea. This is not the Middle East. I've actually visited some of these places. That's a statement I'm going to make on that. Most of my questions have been answered that I was going to ask. So I have a question for the City Council. Because it sounds like to me prior proper preparation was not followed. My view is this: if this gentleman here, who is following the Constitution, has followed the laws, state, local, federal, a federal firearms license is not a license in the state of Alabama. That's from the federal government under the aegis of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. If this man is forced to move, is the City Council, the City of Madison, prepared to reimburse him for the mistake? Because the impression that I've gotten, the answers I've gotten tonight lead me to believe there was a mistake made. Second, I've heard some other comments about school shootings and whatnot, the causes of death. According to the CDC, excluding legal adults, which is ages 18 and 19, the three most common causes of death are due to certain conditions originating in a prenatal condition. That's birth defects. Number 2, congenital malformations, deformations, and chromosomal abnormalities. And 3, symptom signs and abnormal clinical laboratory findings. The teenagers excluded, and only children up to 12 years old included in the data set. And suffocation, motor vehicle accidents, and drowning also cause more childhood death than firearms. I got the facts right here on my phone. I'm retired military. I've served three tours in Iraq. My father-in-law is a former judge and a lawyer in Savannah, Georgia, holds a bar in the state of Georgia. My brother-in-law is a retired lieutenant, Savannah Chatham County Sheriff's Office. My father-in-law has also been an SRO. The bottom line is this: you want to stop gun violence, correction. You want to stop the destructive value of thug culture, which is bringing its criminal activity and everything. It starts at home. I have 2 daughters. One just graduated with honors from James Clemens High School a week ago and is going to Auburn University on a scholarship. And I have another daughter fixing to start Liberty Middle School this fall in 9th grade. I have taught my kids, just like I was as a child, how to handle firearms properly. It starts at home, folks, and then it starts at school. Teach gun safety. He has a legitimate business. Is the location iffy? Of course it is. I went and visited yesterday. I didn't see it from the school. I couldn't see the school from the business. That's my statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maddie Lambertson, District 6. I'd like to start off with a quote. The Second Amendment ensures that we have a choice not given to us by government, but a choice protected from the government. That which the government gives can be taken away, which is precisely why the founders never enshrined the authority over gun rights within the often weak, easily influenced dominion of man. That authority, the authority to choose to lawfully carry or not to carry, is an individual choice. My holster, my choice, let's protect it. Dan O'Leish. I don't understand why we are discussing this right now. He is a successful man, and I don't know why you're trying to take away his business. I don't know why you guys never consider asking the kids that you so claim that you're trying to protect. My parents made sure that I felt safe in school, which I don't usually, so they took me to a gun class so I could learn how to properly handle and safely handle a gun. Why don't parents start doing that instead of trying to ruin a man's business? Parents need to be more responsible, and the government needs to get out of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Parker, Connie Spears. I appreciate the woman that spoke back here about being on lockdown because of Kroger. I'm actually wondering how many times that happens. It seems like the school has a lot more issues than a gun armory. I think that's something that it would be good for you guys to discuss with the board. And also, gun fear is a parent issue. No kid passes an army in an elementary school and goes, I'm afraid of guns. That is a parent issue. On another note, council, with the city manager vote, Ms. Denzine, you spoke about that specifically. Councilman Shaw and Wroblewski, you promoted that by sending out emails. Renee Bartlett, Connie Spears, you promoted that, and I believe you even showed up at polling places. Okay, for the armory, Wroblewski, you stated tonight that you were against it, and Denzine, you stated that you're against it, and I can guess on a few others. I would ask, and Mayor Finley, you said you are not going to legislate evil. I'm not sure exactly what you meant by that. It's confusing because you're not a legislator, and an armory is not evil. So I'm not sure what you meant by that. I would ask that you guys recuse yourself, the ones that are against this, because how can you vote on something that you are, if this comes to a vote, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but let me state this. My argument is that all of you are using power and influence to bully the citizens of Madison City. If this does come to a vote, does this mean that Wroblewski, Spears, Renee Bartlett, Denzine, and Shaw, he's not here tonight, that you are going to recuse yourselves because you have bullied and tried to influence the citizens of Madison with the city manager and now with the armory. So you're using your power and influence. We know how you feel. This is a City of Madison decision, and how are you guys what do you have to say about that anyways? You're the president. Your council is out of control. Do you want to say anything? You've got two different sides here tonight. You're not one side. And by the way, you did not let the owner of the armory finish. Will you let him do that? You cut him off. This is what we're here about. I think he has a right to finish, and I think all of you have a right, or you have to answer to the public. If you're promoting a city manager,
thank you, Ms. Parker. Your time is up. Your time is up. I think we're going to need to have you removed. We need to move forward. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? You have 3 minutes to speak like everyone else. Please state your name and your district.
Hello, good evening. My name is Eileen Phillips. I'm in District 1. So I've been a resident of Madison since 1996, 27 years, okay? Long enough to see the population double. So I now have a family myself. So when you become a mother, you become an unflinching advocate for your children. You have to be. And I think that's a lot of the people that we have here today. As parents, we are stakeholders in the types of businesses that are a stone's throw away from our schools, our daycares. How the City of Madison and any and all parties involved in the transaction of allowing a gun store to be set up within 600 feet of a school without consideration to parents is a little bit appalling. A bullet can travel, on average, a mile to a mile and a half. That's between 5,300 feet and 7,000 feet. Okay? And our children are outside playing 600 feet away. There is not one person in this room that can guarantee that a gun-related accident within the property of that gun shop will not happen. Similarly, the gun shop owner cannot guarantee that a patron will not chamber around in his business parking lot. Is that his problem? Maybe not.
But if the safety of our children is of critical importance, then it should be. And this type of assurance requires vigilance that is simply not feasible or sustainable. What this is unnecessary risk. A report of ATF inspections occurring between 2015 and 2017 showed the state of Alabama having 27 inspections, including 1 revocation. The inspections resulted in warning letters, some businesses receiving multiple warning letters. The 1 revocation of a license occurred in Madison County. But we are expected to assume all ATF regulations will be followed. We are expected to assume all proper training will be conducted. And we are expected to assume that the owner will ensure that each patron that walks through his doors are educated on gun safety and gun laws in and around his business. 1 accident is one too many. You have just allowed a specific type of activity within close proximity to the youngest of Madison's residents. Let's be proactive, not reactive. I don't want to come to a city council meeting in the future and hear, we could have done this, we should have done this. We would do this differently. I don't want to come to a city council meeting in the future where thoughts and prayers are offered, because by then it will be too late. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the council?
Good evening. My name is William Riggle. I live in District 6. I've resided in Madison since 2007. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a business owner. I'm also an NRA instructor. I instruct pistol, rifle, shotgun. Gun safety starts at home. Parents are the first line of education to teach their sons and daughters what they need to know about gun safety. To that point, just this past weekend through Trail Life, we went ahead and had 18 young men and their father shoot over 2,000 rounds of shotgun to go ahead and achieve a badge. We did that safely. We did that with education in the classroom and then education in the field. We wanted to go ahead and shot over 2,000 rounds to provide this group the education because we wanted to fight for those young men to understand, to increase their skill, knowledge, and attitude toward firearms. I'm sorry, ma'am, is there something going on?
Well, just to be fair to everyone, they didn't hit the time, but
okay.
You get bonus time.
Super, thank you. So do you, apparently. With this education, these young men and their fathers will not fear the wood and the metal that we are calling firearms. That's what it is. It's actually the mental capacity of someone that hurts somebody, not the actual wood and metal. Hearing some of you, I'm sorry, back up. I am also a business owner, so I know the steps about finding a location, finding the real estate, financing it, building something, hiring employees, meeting the city codes and requirements is a struggle. It's something that keeps you up late at night. And to hear somebody such as yourselves and some of the public who is going to allow fear to control them, who has not worried, planned, and attempt to limit the business time opening is ludicrous, silly, nuts. This gentleman is trying to bring a business tax revenue to the city that we live in. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know when the school was built. I don't know when the land was purchased. It sounds like it all kind of happened really close to it at the same time. So I don't think it was a malicious part of Mr. Hill's plan to go ahead and put a gun store right down the road from the school. Coincidence just happened that way. I'm done with my time. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Y'all. Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Please come forward.
I'm married to that handsome fella. I also live in District 6.
State your name.
Stacy Riggle.
Okay, thank you.
I staunchly stand firmly for allowing Rocket City Armory to continue down the path they've faithfully followed. They haven't done this nefariously. They've walked through the steps. They're opening a legitimate business in our town. I'm curious how many people have gone through the process to purchase a firearm. It's not a fast, I'm running to Walmart and grabbing a Snickers kind of a deal. They want everything but your blood. Evil has existed since the fall of man, thousands of years ago. I think what Mayor Finley tried to say earlier is that we can't legislate away evil. We are not going to create laws to stop evil. It's not going to happen. Blaming guns for the damage they inflict is as crazy as blaming cars for the wrecks they are involved in. Those responsible for gun violence are evil or sick people. An idea that keeps getting brought up is limiting hours for the store. We own a business, and I will tell you, it wasn't my idea to start a business. I have grown many gray hairs in that process. It's hard enough to build a business, sustain a business that provides for our family. If someone walked in the door tomorrow and said, oh, well, you can only be open 30% of the hours available to work in the day, we would shut the doors. I didn't grow up with guns. But I will say that there are men and women in this country willing to stand up for me, for my sons, and exercise their rights. I'm grateful for. I do have 2 young men who are not in the public school system, but they know very well how to behave responsibly around firearms, because that is our job as their parents, to educate them in all things. And I take seriously the job of protecting my kids. Do I think kindness matters? Do I think the mental health of our kids matters? I do. But I think it is our job as parents to do that job and not rely on the school system to protect their mental health. Our job in the school system, in my mind, is safety. The safety should happen at those doors. It shouldn't be what's happening at Kroger or what's happening at wherever. It should be within the doors of our school. Our kids should be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come forward.
Hello, everybody.
Could you wait till you get to the microphone? There's some people online who might not be able to hear.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rick Riccio. I'm with District 7. As I listen to everybody speak tonight, it kind of reflects the attitude across the nation, throughout states, throughout cities, throughout communities. People are seriously divided on a lot of issues, from abortion to city manager versus mayor council, whether this gun store should be allowed to be where it is. And it's very compelling to hear all the arguments, because everybody has a particular feeling. Those feelings come from personal experiences, and you just can't diminish those and set them aside and say they don't mean anything. But at the end of the day, this council and this city government and the people who have either stood by or gotten involved are responsible for the laws and the ordinances that are on the books today. And when this comes down to whatever it's going to come down to, despite the passionate opinions of this side and the passionate opinions of this side over here, the government, the city council, really is duty-bound to look at the applicable laws, ordinances, and requirements and honor those, because those are what's in place. Those are what you and the people that went before you have put into place. And so that's the first thing that needs to happen, in my opinion. Next would come reform or adjustments or whatever it is that's going to change the zoning, whatever it is that's going to change the ordinances that might strike a chord, strike a balance between the two sides of this issue. I mean, I really don't see it any other way. I've not been in government. I've run businesses. I've managed businesses. I've opened dozens of restaurants in Huntsville going back to 2000. I've been a resident of Madison since 1999. So, I mean, so many things we want to change on the spur of the moment because of current events. But again, I would just try to compel you to put aside whatever it is that's your personal thoughts on the matter and follow whatever it is that you have put in place or the people that have gone before you have put in place that tells us what we need to do in this situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Is that someone coming? Okay.
Sorry. Hello, Daniel Hopkin, District 1. So what seems ridiculous to me is having a gun shop feet away from a elementary school. So it doesn't seem to me that, it seems that we need to take care of our babies, you know. I've got children in the town, and it's very important to us that we just, we got to take care of our kids. And it seems to me that we should have the forethought that you guys knew that the school was being built. So the zoning laws hadn't been changed in that area since 1989. So it seems that we should have thought of that before. So to me, I want to have the gun shop like in the area, but it's too close to the school. So I would like to see some kind of compromise about where it should be. So if we could find some kind of way to maybe give them a tax break or something just to have them not so close to the school, I would love to see that, because I want to see Madison grow. I want to see the businesses grow, but I also want to protect safety. So with the current climate, it doesn't make sense to me to have the schools and a gun shop so close together. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Sorry, you can't do it twice. You only have one. But you can come up to us afterwards. But I see Mr. Robinson. Thank you.
Good evening. How are you guys?
Your name and your district?
Oh, my name is Brian Robinson. I'm in District 2, I believe. So I wanted to address you to give a character reference for Jared Hill and his family. I've gotten to do life. Well, first of all, I've been in Madison since 2007. I lived in Madison the whole time here. And since 2019, I got to know Jared Hill and his family very well. And if anyone was to own an armory close to the school, he would be the person that I would say yes. When school shootings had happened within the last year, I got to do some life with him, and I got to walk with him through those. He was very troubled by the news of the school shootings. And so I know there were some comments made here tonight about him as an owner, and I took it as some hits on his character, and I feel like I wouldn't be doing my duty if I didn't stand up here and say that those were wrong. He's very empathetic. His whole family's very empathetic. He also has discernment. So if someone comes in there to purchase a weapon, I feel like he has great judgment, and he would deny them if he felt like that they were a harm to our society. Also, I am a veteran. Before I joined the military, I grew up in a neighborhood where guns were around me illegally. And I grew up with some people who used those guns illegally. And I saw my first person get murdered when I was 15. And when I joined the military, I'm a veteran of both wars. So I've seen bad guys use guns. But what really gave me pride, especially as a veteran, was I believe there was a retired colonel, I think his name was Grossman, and he wrote a piece about sheepdogs and wolves. And at that moment, I knew that I was a sheepdog, and the hills are sheepdogs. And what I mean by that is we look around and we see it as a duty to protect the sheep from the wolves. And I think what happens is when these things come up, emotions get in the way, and we start attacking the sheepdogs. And the wolves are still out there. Now we have no one protecting the sheep. I also I know for a fact that the Hill family, I've seen it with my own eyes. They have, they give a lot of resources to help kids and to help people who came from the neighborhoods that
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I'm sorry, your time is up. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Yes, I see. We'll get you next.
Good evening. My name is Mark Cather. I live in Mr. Shaw's district, and I just want to ask for measured consideration. I hear passion on both sides, and I sit on one side. There are no guarantees in this world. I'm sensing from one side this, it's a panacea if we can get the gun store either stopped or moved to another location. And that does not mean that tragedy would not happen. Conversely, having the gun store there does not guarantee that tragedy will happen. There is very little correlation between those two. So I'm just asking the council for measured consideration that moving the store or stopping it entirely is not a panacea that guarantees anything. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I think you wanted to come up.
My name is Christelle Francois. I live in Madison. I've been living there for 8 years, and I live behind the Madison Hospital. I'm not quite sure which district.
I think that's yours, John. Probably John's, I think.
Everybody really can understand my accent. So first, it doesn't have to be a decision based on what people had in their life, they had an experience with gun. It's based on fact. Facts, do we have a gun issue in the country? Yes. Do we have a mental issue in the country? Yes. Are we going to ban guns? No. So there is a mental issue, there is a gun issue, we have a shop. The kids will say, oh, Mom, what's that? It's a gun store. But are guns dangerous? Yes. So, Mommy, why is it right there next to a school? Because people maybe are not compassionate enough, because guns are for grown-ups. It's not for kids, it's for grown-ups. And guns, why do we use a gun? It still kills, it's still violence. So, Mommy, why is it next to school? All that, it's a grown-up subject, and no one is questioning the gentleman's ability to handle his business. No one. The parents are just asking for a little bit of understanding and compassion. We want you to be successful, but why there? Why not here? Because you are divided, it's not going to be done. Why not here? Just citizens together, talk together and say, oh, I did not realize that was such a hard topic for you and you are concerned by your safety of your kid. Okay, well then, okay, I'll move my, if it's like that, I'll move my store because I understand your fear and it's valid. And then maybe the parents can support this man to show their compassion. So it has to be a little bit more human and not say, well, they are wrong. We are going to stand up and clap because he is right. It's like, can we all work together and understand the kids' fear? I mean, how can you explain a child that is scared? And they are right to be scared because there are shootings and more. So we can give tons of facts, but the fact that there is a gun issue in the country, there is a mental issue in the country, so we have to do something, and maybe it's not by law because apparently it's kind of stuck because of the decision. So what about citizen compassion and kindness and understanding that there is an issue and it's not against you. You are going to keep the guns. Just move it just a little bit. Just move it, and that's all. Thank you.
Merci. Mademoiselle François. Anyone else like to address the council? Oh, yes. Come forward.
I'm Grant Carradine. I'm in Greg's district, and I have a position. I'm a gun owner. I'll leave some of that to the side. I generally believe in the inherent good of Mr. Hill and his family. I don't have any reason to believe otherwise, and a lot of the people that have spoken on the other side of this issue, and I've had the opportunity to speak with a bunch of council folks, and I have a lot of respect for you, and I think that sometimes when heated situations like this come up, personal attacks go unchecked, and we need to be a little bit more respectful. But I want to talk a little bit more about the public comments thing, and I'll be brief. I think that this session tonight is evidence of why we might want to rearrange public comments in support of our city personnel and the people who work sometimes 10 and 12-hour days, who, if these comments were not at the end of the meeting, would be still here working a 13 or 14-hour day. Those people just came to work. The people who run our council and our mayor ran an election, and if they sit here all night, that's a different story than if our employees who make a modest salary and didn't really choose to do it, it's just kind of where they ended up to work, came to work, and they deserve at least to be able to spend time with their families and not be here all night every other week. So that's my thoughts. I appreciate the time, and I do not covet by any stretch of the imagination the position that you're in to deal with some of the issues that the city has had lately. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sarah Ann. I'm in District 7. I would just like to make a couple comments about the gun store and this very interesting conversation. Some parents have pointed out that their children are very afraid of seeing a gun store. I do agree with the people that have spoken and said that it's a parent's job to teach a child how to use a gun safety, and about our Constitution. But I'd also like to ask, do you know how many of your neighbors own guns? Do you know how many cars are in a parking lot at any given time with a concealed carry? Are you asking your neighbor to move his house because he owns guns? Think about that one.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council and has not had an opportunity to do so? We are here to listen. Okay, we are going to close public comments. Thank you all for staying for the duration, and thank you to council and mayor. Are there any closing comments, Mayor?
I want to say three quick things. Stacy, wherever she is, that's exactly what I meant. Thank you. Secondly, to each and every one of you guys, thank you for respecting this process, other than one person. Thank you. And Renee, thank you for how you manage this. It's hard to cut people off at 3 minutes, especially the first speaker who has to, but if we don't do that, we're not fair to everybody. And I think you did a phenomenal job of managing 26 people. And then I'll end by saying this. One of the things that I've done ever since I've been mayor is we have 2 hours every 2 weeks set aside for you, the citizens. They're 30-minute slots. You can call the mayor's office, and we welcome the chance to talk to you. We've never turned someone down, and I welcome the chance, whether it's budget, whether it's more about this, but that's available. And I would welcome a chance. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell this group here, we are here to listen, and you can see that we did. And then lastly, we have followed compliance when it comes to them, to this store. So when we talk about some of the things that, hey, what about this, what about it? Our team has done that. We do it whether it's for an alcohol license, a business, whatever type of license, our folks will make sure that they meet what is needed to open this up. And I can assure you that team in the back of our SROs and our police officers understand how people feel about the safety of the city. The city starts, as far as your quality of life, with your health and your safety. We get that. We know that. We've listened to everybody on both sides, and we will continue to work diligently to make sure that we keep the city safe. So thank you for giving me a chance to say that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and we are adjourned.